Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Today I'm going to show you how to make this bag. It's really easy. It's pretty quick. I used an old belt. I repurposed an old belt. That's what I did. I used it for the handle and for this strap. Now if you don't have one, you can always just crochet this. And these rings were on the belt, but you can always get rings at Walmart too if you want to use rings. If not, you can always put a button here or something. So I'm going to show you how to make the base part of the bag, and I will show you how to sew the belt on, but if you don't have one, remember, don't worry about it. You can make any kind of handle that you want. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project, I'm using a Red Heart Super Saver. It's a worsted weight 4-ply acrylic yarn. And I'm using a size I 5.5mm crochet hook. Now I already got my big part done, so I'm just going to show you on a smaller scale because it's really easy. But you want to start out with a chain of 85 to do it like mine. 85. But I'm starting out smaller. But once you get your chain 85 done, you want to double crochet in the 4th stitch from the hook. Like that. And then you do 1 double crochet in each of the rest of the stitches for the length of the chain. 1 double in each stitch until you get to the end. Now remember, I'm just showing you on a smaller scale because I already have my big piece done. Like that. Now I'm switching colors every row, and if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but if you do, I'll show you how to do that. When you're coming, after you get your big long chain done, and you're coming to the end on your last double crochet, you go in it like you're going to do a double crochet and draw up a loop, yarn over and go through the first 2 loops, and you can set it down, and then you take your next color, whatever color that you want to use. If you want to switch colors, you don't have to. And this is the one you pull through the last 2 loops. Just grab it like that. And what I do is I kind of just, then you can cut this first yarn. Got it? And then what I just do, I kind of just put this in a loose knot so it doesn't slip away while I'm working with it. And then later I just undo the knots and hide the tails that way. Okay? And then you just want to start again by chaining 3 and turning. Now all this is going to be rows of double crochet, but we're just working in the back loop only. So you can see right here there's 2 loops, the front loop and the back loop. We're going to leave the front loop alone and only work in the back loops for the big portion of the bag. It's just rows of double crochet in the back loops. So you just yarn over and go into this very first stitch, but you just go into that back loop. See, this would be where we would regularly go in 2 loops, but we're just going to skip this first loop and go into the back loop and double crochet. And I'm going to work my way across, putting 1 double crochet in the back loops of every stitch. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a ridge like that. The ridge is going to start showing up better. And back loop, back loop, and when you get to the end of your row, if you want to switch colors again, you can. If not, you just continue. If you want to switch colors here, you just do it the same way. You go in like a double crochet, yarn over, drop a loop, go through the first 2 loops, and then drop this one. I always clip it. And then you start and you bring your next color through. And I put a little loose knot in these two. Might want to leave some longer tails than I did. I cut these too short, but and then you just start again with your new color. It's going to be a lot of tails to sew in if you use multiple colors, but chain 3, turn, and again we just do double crochets, starting with this very first one in the back loops only. Just like that. And that's all it is. It's this rows of double crochet, and you can change colors as often as you want. Every row is just working in the back loops. It's just like that, and that's creating these little ridges. Gives it a little bit different of an effect. I did this for a total of 19 rows. But if you want yours wider than mine, you feel free to do it however many rows you want to do. Okay, once you get your big piece done here, this is kind of how I'm going to sew it together after you get all your tails hidden. I'm just going to kind of fold it up and then sew up these sides, and then I'll have a flap like that. But I'm going to sew it up wrong side out. So if you have a side that you like better, put it facing outside or inside. Here's the side I want. So you can see my bad side is where my tails are all sewn in. I want it facing me. That way when I sew it up, I can flip it right side out and the seam will be hidden. And now I'm just going to sew up the sides. There. And you can make your flap go over as far as you want. That's really however much of it you want to be. But just try to get it equal. You can count your stitches down on each side to make sure you get it the same. But I probably leave my flap about 5 inches or so big, and then it'll flap over 5 or 6 inches. Might be about 6, I don't know, something like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew it up. I'm just gonna take my 2 pieces here, go into the first stitch, and then into the stitch over here on your other piece, pull through, and chain 1. Now I'm going to slip stitch it together. I'm just going to go into my next stitch, and then my next stitch on my other piece, and slip stitch. Go into my next stitch on my other piece, and slip stitch. And I'm going to do this all the way down, just slip stitching it together. And that's how I'm going to sew up both sides. Just like this. And do both sides like that, and then when I flip it right side out, my seam will be on the inside. And you won't be able to see it. Okay, once you see you get both sides sewed up, you just flip it right side out. And that's what you have so far. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of clean up these edges here and across the flap here and up the side. So I'm going to take whatever color yarn you want to use. And with the good side facing you, so you want the stitches to face right, so start with the good flap part facing you. So this is all the good side. So what I'm going to be doing is working single crochet around the front, here, here, across this and the sides. So I'm just going to start on the flap right up here in the corner. You can start anywhere that you want. And I'm going to go in that corner stitch and chain 1. And I'm going to go back in it and single crochet. Now I'm just going to work my way across the top of the flap, putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. Some of the stitches are going to be hard to see, so I'll just do your best to evenly space your single crochets out. That's about all you can do when you're working on the sides of these double crochets. So I just space them out the best I can. And it's not going to be perfect, but okay, I want to do this all the way across the front of the flap. Okay, I went across the flap here with the single crochet, and now I'm going to start going up the side now. When I get to the corner, I want to put 2 single crochets in the corner stitch, just to make it look a little bit rounder. And then I'm going to start working my way up the side of the flap. And you can see these stitches a lot better. Putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. And now I'm just going to continue going around. Here you can see where I'm at. Here's my seam. I'm just going to continue going around it. Putting 1 single crochet in every stitch. So I'm just going to kind of jump over here. And again, you can't really see where they're supposed to go, but I'm just going to space them out here. Single crochets. Like that. And then I'm just going to continue to work across. This is the inside part of my bag. You can see my flap goes over. And again, now you're going to have to start spacing them again evenly. So what I'm going to do is continue to work across this front part, and then I'll go down this seam, and then I'm going to go back up at this side, back to my starting point. And you want to put 2 single crochets in this corner stitch like we did over here. Okay, when you make it back to your starting point, you just want to slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then you can tie that off. Of course, if you wanted to go around again, you definitely could. And then I'm going to hide that tail real quick. This is the worst part about crocheting, I think. Hiding tails. I hate it. Had a whole bunch to hide with this bag, but just about done now. Just get it weaved in there real good where it ain't gonna come out. Okay. That one, that one. Let's see what we got now. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna take, I have the old belt. I'm gonna set this to the side for a minute. Now, if you can't find a belt like this, or you don't have a belt like this, you can just make a strap out of yarn like this. That's fine. Or you can make your handles however you want. You don't even have to make them like me. It's completely up to you. But this belt, all I did was I clipped the rings off, and then I just clipped a 5 or 6 inch section, and then I'm going to use this piece for the handle. Okay, to sew this on, I'm going to use, it's a darning needle, or a embroidery needle. It's like the darning needle, but it's got the point. This is what I always use for a darning needle anyways, a yarn needle to sew in my ends. And I'm just going to use some yarn. That is if you have a cloth belt like this. If you don't, you can just use whatever. You can make your own. But now if you don't have a belt like this and you want to just make it out of yarn, but you have the rings, all you do is just make a strap and sew your rings in it like that. And I'm going to sew this piece on the center of the top of my flap. So you just kind of find your center right about here, and I'm going to sew it up underneath the flap using my yarn needle. And this, if you create your own out of yarn, you just do it the same way. Sew it on with your yarn needle. Oh. And I'm sewing it right up here to this, to the edge here. Not the easiest to sew on, but however you do it, if you decide to use the rings, you just want to make sure your ring flap's at the top. It works better, I think, that way. I rarely buy, actually I don't ever really buy purse handles. I repurpose old bags and stuff all the time, and belts. And I got a soft spot when I go to a resale shop and I see an old bag there. It's all beat up, and you can look at it and you can tell that someone used to really love it. Someone used to really carry it around all the time, and it was always used. Now it's there all dirty and old and beat up, and I always want to take it home and take it apart and make something out of it. Make something new out of its pieces. I guess that's kind of silly, but I've always kind of been like that. Make it new again. Just pieces of it though, but put a little life back in it. Okay. Probably got sick of watching me do that, but once you get that piece sewed on, and then when you get your other flap, and then you get your other piece, and I'll sew it the same way, in the same kind of spot. You can just kind of follow it down. So right about here on the bottom, and then it goes something like this. So I'm gonna be able to hook like that. And if you wanted, I actually thought about doing it, but I didn't have a long enough belt to do it. But because I wanted to use this for the handle, you could go all the way around. But I mean, that's completely up to you. But so I'm gonna take this piece and I'm gonna sew it. Oh, I'm going to clip this one off. down here on the bottom area, and I'm going to do it the same way that I just did with my yarn needle. Okay, I got that one sewed on the bottom, this one sewed up here. Now I'm going to do my handles the same way. I'm just going to kind of sew them in here along the seam area. Oh. You want to hold it, you want to make sure that your flap's going to go around it too, so just kind of adjust it and you can kind of see where it needs to go, and I'm going to do that on both sides, and you can do whatever kind of handle you have, get it sewed up on there. Okay, that's it. I got my handle sewed on. I kind of put something in it so you can see what it looked like with something in it, so it's not so flat, but that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope you were able to follow along okay. And remember, if you don't have a belt to repurpose, you can just always make some straps, make your own handle and everything. So that's it. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page too and all my other tutorials. And until next time, have a good day.